All right, you're right then. Right now, right back in the dream time, when everything was first made, and Bayami he made all the flowers and all the shrubs, trees, and he made the bottle brush. And the bottle brush was white. And one day while he was sitting up on the side of his mountain where he always sat, he could see the animals fighting around down below, and all the birds were fighting. So he called Gara the eagle hawk, the wedge-tailed eagle. He said, go down and tell those birds to stop fighting and quarrelling because we're not going to have it in this country. So the wedge-tailed eagle flew down, and if you know the wedge-tailed eagle, he's very big, very strong, powerful, and very, very cruel. He flew down among the birds. He never said nothing. He just flew in among them. He started to rip and tear them about. And Bayami called him back. He said, I never told you to do that. Now go back up in the mountains where you belong. And then he called the little Wonga pigeon, the blonde-winged pigeon. He said, Wonga pigeon, go down and speak to those birds. And the Wonga pigeon flew down. And the birds were still upset over what the wedge-tailed eagle had done. And they never gave the Wonga pigeon a chance. They just flew on top of him and they bashed him and ripped him and tore him. And when the Wonga pigeon rose up in the air to get away from him, all the blood from his wounds flowed out onto the white bottle brush and turned it to red. And then on into the dream time. And the Bidjambul people came to this part of the country. Among them was a great warrior. His name was Woomaloo. Never been defeated in battle. Always there to resist his tribal enemies. But most of all, he was a great hunter. He never went out hunting unless he brought home plenty to eat. But one day while he was in the bush hunting, he saw this red flower. He'd never seen it before. So he picked it. He smelled it, smelled nice. He put it in his mouth, very sweet. So he sucked the honey from it. Every time he went hunting after this, he would go looking for the red flower to get the honey, to suck the honey from it. And one day while he was in the bush hunting, a great storm came up, Bundamunda. And he took shelter underneath this giant tree. And lightning struck the tree and knocked him out. And when he came to, he was blind. In those times, you had any affliction, you was put to death. If you couldn't pull your weight, you were got rid of. And the sentence of death was passed on Woomaloo. But the tribe people went to the elders and said, why? He's such a good man. Look how many times he's fought for us. Look how many times he's fed us when we had nothing. Why does he have to be killed? Let us have him. Let us look after him. So the elders held their council and they came back and said, all right, he's yours. You take him. But if anything happens to him, it's on your head. You will be the one that will be punished. So they took him away. They used to lead him around by the hand, and they used to put the food in his hand. He used to eat it. But then he started walking into the bush, feeling around, picking the flowers, taking the honey from them. And his wife, or his lubra, she said, one day he's going to pick the wrong flower. And when he does, he's going to die. And when he dies, we're going to be in a lot of trouble from the elders. She said, I've got to do something about it. And she went everywhere looking, no one could help her. She finally went to the little bush spirits, the little quinnies, bush spirits who look after the young trees and all the young plants in the bush. And she went there and she told them her story. And she asked for help. And they said yes. They held their council, said yes, we can help you. And they changed the shape of the Waratah. They changed it from the bottle shape of the bottle brush to the shape that it is today. And it's the only flower in the Australian bush that is shaped like it is. Now the question here is, why did they change it to that shape? It was so that when Wimaloo was feeling around for his flower and he felt the shape, he knew he had the flower with the honey in it. And that's how the Waratah became red, and that's how it got the colour that it's shape that it is today. And that's no, the honey was special. See? You see, the quinnies, they come from the moon. They used to come down here overnight and take the honey, the native honey, out of the logs and everything. See? And one night they came down and they were taking the honey from the logs, and the log collapsed on one's arm. Couldn't get away. All night he sat there, laid there. In the night, when the Aboriginal people come around, they saw him. They went up, they helped him come out of there. And so the Quinnies told the Aboriginal people then, right, they thanked them. Now from now on, we will look after you. We will help all, we will be here for all the young trees in the bush, and we will give you dew on the grass, so that when there's no water, you will have the dew. And that's how we got the dew, and that's how the Quinnies. If you're ever in the bush, and I said a while ago, I believe you can look up or you lay there, I suppose you've been there, mate, and the trees are quiet, and one of them will start moving, and you can hear it. And it runs through my mind straight away. The Quinnies are there, and they're looking after the trees to keep them fresh, especially in summertime when it's nice, when it's hot. There we are.
Thank you.
Well, do you know the first creature ever to be put on this earth to live forever? The lyrebird. Did you know that? The lyrebird. You see, do you want this story?
Yeah.
All right.
You can go.
See now, you see, as you know, or you should know, that this country of ours, it's the oldest country on earth. Right. It was the first country ever, first bit of dirt that ever came out of the ocean millions and millions of years ago. And Byami came down, he's our creator, he came down on this land and he brought with him the rainbow serpent. And he gave the rainbow serpent the job, the work of building this country. The rainbow serpent, as he moved over this country, the way snakes move, he was so big, so heavy, and so powerful that as he moved over this land, he ploughed through the earth like a giant bulldozer. And as he ploughed through the earth, he left a great track behind him. And Byami made it rain. And the tracks filled up with water and gave us our first rivers. Then overnight, when he was tired from all of his work, he curled up on the plain to go to sleep. He was so big and so heavy that when he got up to move in the morning, he left a big hollow in the ground. And no matter where he went, the water was going to follow him. And these hollows filled up and gave us our surface lakes. And ploughing through the dirt the way that he did, throwing all the dirt and boulders to one side, they formed the hills and the mountains as he went. And overnight when it was cold, because serpents don't like the cold weather. He burrowed down into the earth where it was warm. And the water followed him and gave us all the underground rivers that we have in this country and all the underground lakes that are out through the west there. And when he came out of the ground in the morning to go on with his work, the water followed him, the start of new rivers. And he worked at this. When he had finished this country, he had made the mountains, the hills, the valleys, the rivers, the lakes, and Baiame called him. He said, now that you've worked hard, I'm going to put you to sleep. I'm going to give you a rest. And according to my people, he was put to sleep in the McIntyre River. And there he was in the bottom of the river with all, and the reason he was called the rainbow serpent was because he had all the most beautiful colours all over him. And there he was on the bottom of the river with all of his beautiful colours. And if you've ever been at the rivers or the sea in the morning, you always know there's a mist that rises from the rivers. And when the mist rose from the rivers, it took all the colours from the rainbow serpent with him and gave us our first rainbow. And when the rainbow was across the sky, Baiame said, now's the time that I put all the animals and creatures on this land that this country needs. So he called the four winds because he controlled them all. And he gave them the seed. Go out and sow seed, drop it everywhere. And the winds went out and sowed seed, and everything grew. All the grass, bushes, shrubs, trees, and flowers. The Baiame loved flowers. He loved beautiful things. And when everything was growing beautifully, he sat down on the grass to think, now what creatures do I put on this land first? Because whatever I put here first has to be very, very special. And he sat there and he couldn't make up his mind what to make. So he thought, if I lie down, I might be able to think better. So he laid down. And when he lay down, like most men, he went to sleep. And when he went to sleep, the bad spirits came. And the bad spirit's name is Mimi. And Mimi is the rock spirit. She lives in the cracks in the rock. And she can only come out on fine days. She'd come out on a windy day, she would blow away. Some people call her a ribbon spirit because she's shaped like the ribbon that the girls used to wear in their hair. And when she saw Baiame asleep, she made all the grasshoppers, all the locusts, and all the ants. And you know what these insects do, don't you? Well, they eat everything. And they did, they ate, and they ate, and they ate, and when Baiame woke up, there was nothing left. No more grass, bushes, shrubs, trees, no more flowers. He said, I have to start again. But as he stood there, he could see this mountain. He could see something moving on the side of the mountain. He went up to see what it was. And there underneath this big overhanging ledge of rock, he found a little brown plant. All that was left. So he took the plant, put it in his hand, took a handful of Mother Earth, because everything comes from Mother Earth. He placed them together, he breathed life into it, and he put on the ground a little brown bird. He said, little bird, I'm sorry that you're brown. I don't have any beautiful colours to give you because all the colours went when the flowers were eaten. But you're special. And because you're special, I'm going to give you a special gift. I'm going to give you the gift to dance. You'll be the best dancer ever seen in the bush. And I'm going to give you another gift too. I'm going to give you the gift to copy any sound you hear. And that's the lyrebird. You know, there's no sound that he hears that he can't copy. And that's the lyre. That's where we got the lyrebird. You want me to go on?
Sure.
After he'd finished making the lyrebird, he said, now that I made one bird, I'll make the rest. But I'll make all the small birds first. And he made all the small birds. And he made them all the same colour as the lyrebird, brown. He said, I made you all brown for a purpose. Out there in the bush, where everything has grown back and everything is beautiful again, we have the beautiful flowers. And these flowers are new. And their colours are there, and the colours are still wet. I want all you birds to go out, touch the flowers, take the wet colours and paint yourselves so that every bird can have his own colour, so there'll be no jealousy among the birds who have the best colour. You go out and take the flowers and paint yourselves. So all the birds went out, took the colours from the flowers and painted themselves in all the colours of the birds we have in the bush today. And you know who came back looking the best? All the boys. All the boys. They come back looking lovely and colourful and shiny. And who come back looking dull and drab? All the girls. But you know why this is? It's to protect the female. Everybody's eyes are attracted to bright colours. And nobody notices a little brown bird that's going through the bush, lays her eggs, hatching her chicks, looking after them and going. That's why today, when girls go out to meet their boyfriends, they're going to paint themselves up to look as good as the boys. But you can blame it on the dream time, see? Hey? Hey? Hey?
What's your totem?
Beg pardon?
What's your totem?
My totem is the blue-tongued lizard and the koala bear.
Oh.
And is that enough?
Yeah. Where are you from, Uncle?
I'm from northern New South Wales. Oh, that's where I was reared.
Up near the McIntyre River? Yeah.
You know the McIntyre River is? Down Gunboggabella?
Yeah.
Yeah? I spent a lot of time in Boggabella. My country's on the other side. And I spent my time in the mountains because my skin is fair and they were stealing the children, you know. I've seen some terrible things happen. The way they would take the children away, you know, that was terrible. And even when we was on the mission, Deadbird, and they would come down and take the children, and one really sticks out to me now. The police came down and they took this little baby off the mother, and the mother was only a young girl, and she was down, she was fighting and kicking, and they took it, and they had one of those old Chev 6 trucks, and they had a nurse sitting on the back of the truck, and they gave the baby to her, and they drove off, and the mother ran after them, and she come back, she said, I couldn't catch them, they went too fast. And the elders went uptown that night because it was almost, they used to wait till supper time when everybody was there. They knew when to get them then, see? And the elders went uptown to see whether they could hear the baby crying. And you know where they used to hide them? In the morgue. In the morgue with the dead people, you know? True. That's true. That's right. But I come down to New South Wales when they brought us down. They only brought the three families down. I told you about that, didn't I? And lost the language there, you know. I can tell you a lot of things. How old are you, daughter, for a bad question? Well, round about. 41. No, that's all right. Do you remember the exemption cards? See, when they opened the mission and they put us on the reserves, we lived down on the river, see? They said, if you want to move uptown, you can move uptown, but you've got to get permission. You have to apply to the police, they give you an okay. Then you went to the council, they give you something. Then they sent it away to the government, and they came back and they said, if you was allowed to move uptown, you can move uptown But they gave you this exemption paper, right? I have them at home. I still have them, and I can say, on this exemption paper it says, now that you have moved uptown, you are allowed to walk through town without being arrested. You are allowed to enter a hotel or a store, but you will only be served at the discretion of the manager. On the streets, you're not allowed to acknowledge your people. Even your mother and father, you're divorced from, they're gone. You're not allowed to go back to the reserve and talk to any Aboriginal person. You're not allowed to speak your language, you're not allowed to dance anymore, you're not allowed to have anything to do with your people. It's true, that's true. That's what happened. Hey? And these things happen, girl, I'll tell you.
How old were you when you got your exemption card?
I never got them. But I picked one up on the way. I picked them up because I'm a storyteller. I go into the schools, and even I still go into schools. I got the Nanga Meyer Award, Best Storyteller in New South Wales. And
Sorry, Uncle Wes.
yeah, you're right?
Sorry, finish off.
And did you know I got inducted into the Aboriginal Hall of Fame? Yeah, only 5 ever got there. And I got Greg Sims got the Nanga Meyer Award too, but I was the first to ever get it. And you don't look for these sort of things. See, when we first went into this, I came down to Sydney because I thought my children could get a good education. Because I had no education. 10 months. I had 10 months schooling. It's all I ever had in my life. But I came down here and I went to the schools and I asked them, can I tell some stories? Some would let you in, so I'd say no. Some would ring the police. And the police would meet me when I got home, you know, stay away. And when we finally did get in, a man by the name of Barry Core finally got us into the schools. But they said, you go into the schools, you talk about Dreamtime stories. You're not allowed to talk about the early settlers. You're not allowed to talk about the First Fleet. You're not allowed to talk about massacres. You're not allowed to talk about atrocities, nothing. Just Dreamtime stories. And they used to pack the classroom with women, with teachers, to make sure. And I didn't want to do it. I said, no, if I go in there, I want to do the lot. And Barry Core said, you've got a foot in the door. You kick it open for the rest of them. And now we can talk about anything. But all I done was tell Dreamtime stories for about 15, 16 years. But I was doing that's my dreaming. You know what your dreaming is, don't you? My dreaming is storytelling. People don't believe these things happen. I had a teacher say to me, when we went down to Sydney to talk to the education department, see, about coming into the schools and telling stories. Yeah. All right. You're right, though.